Imagine this. Bottom of the ninth, the bases are loaded, a fair ball gets hit, and a fielder, out of sheer desperation, stops it with his hat. So what's the call? A simple out? Not even close. Every single runner, including the guy who hit the ball, gets to advance 3 bases. Sounds like a joke, right? Nope. It's written in the official rule book, and that's just one of the 10 bizarre sports rules we're uncovering today that will make you question everything. You see, we think we know sports. We see the big plays, the buzzer beaters, the photo finishes. But underneath all that glory, there's a whole other world governed by rules so strange, so specific, they sound like they were made up on a dare. These aren't just minor technicalities. They're game-changing regulations that have shaped careers, ended dynasties, and sometimes just made everyone scratch their heads in absolute confusion. It's the fine print of competition, the hidden code that makes everything tick. Today we're pulling back the curtain. We're diving deep into the rule books of everything from the NFL to the Olympics, from the PGA Tour to the dusty pages of baseball history. We're going to explore the logic, or lack thereof, behind why a goalie can't play the puck in a certain zone, why your favorite player can't tweet during a game, and why, once upon a time, tug of war was considered an Olympic-level feat of athleticism. So grab your popcorn, settle in, and prepare to have your mind blown. Alright, let's kick things off with a rule that feels like it's from another century. We're talking about the PGA Tour, the pinnacle of professional golf. These athletes are some of the fittest, most powerful competitors on the planet. They can drive a ball over 300 yards with pinpoint accuracy. But there's one thing they absolutely, positively cannot do while competing: wear jeans. That's right, denim, the most popular fabric in the world, is public enemy number 1 on the golf course. It's a fashion faux pas so serious it's written right into the player handbook. Now you might be thinking, what's the big deal? It's a dress code. But think about it. We're in an era of performance fabrics, moisture-wicking technology, and athletic wear that's engineered for peak performance. Yet the PGA Tour is still hung up on a fabric. It's not about comfort or flexibility, it's about tradition. It's this old-school country club idea of what a golfer should look like. It's a clash between the modern, powerful athlete and a perception of the sport that's rooted in a bygone era of exclusivity, and let's be real, stuffiness. Look at other sports. You see basketball players arriving in high-fashion outfits, tennis stars with their own signature lines that push the boundaries of style. They're celebrated for their individuality, but in golf, the uniform is still king. The rule book explicitly states, denim is considered inappropriate. It doesn't matter if they're the most expensive designer jeans on the market. The rule is absolute. It's a strange hill to die on, isn't it? In a sport that's trying to attract a younger, more diverse audience, clinging to a ban on blue jeans feels like a major misstep. It really makes you wonder where the line is drawn. Slacks are fine, but jeans aren't. Collared shirts are mandatory. It's a level of sartorial control you don't see anywhere else in major league sports. While other leagues are embracing player expression, the PGA Tour seems determined to keep its players in a very specific, very traditional box. It's a bizarre and fascinating example of how sometimes the rules of the game have less to do with the game itself and everything to do with protecting an image. From a rule about what you can wear, we move to a rule about what you can say, or, more accurately, when you can say it. Imagine being a global icon, a brand unto yourself with millions of followers hanging on your every word. Now imagine being told you have to go completely dark, silent, for hours at a time, right when the world is watching you the most. Welcome to the social media blackout, a rule enforced by titans like the NBA and the NFL that puts a digital muzzle on players during game time. It's a modern dilemma for a modern athlete. These guys aren't just players anymore, they're media moguls, influencers, and entrepreneurs. Their social media accounts are powerful tools for building their brand, connecting with fans, and even driving social change. But from the moment the pre-game clock starts ticking until they've fulfilled all their post-game media obligations, their phones are basically bricks. No tweeting, no Instagram stories, no TikToks. The leagues say it's about focus and maintaining the integrity of the game. But let's break that down. The integrity argument is about preventing things like inside information from leaking out, especially with the rise of sports betting. That makes sense. But the focus part is where it gets interesting. These are professionals who have trained their entire lives to perform under immense pressure, in front of screaming crowds, with millions of dollars on the line. The idea that a quick tweet at halftime could be the thing that throws them off their game seems a bit of a stretch, doesn't it? This rule creates a strange paradox. The leagues themselves are all over social media during games, posting highlights, stats, and engaging with fans in real time. They rely on the players' star power to fuel that engagement. Yet, the players themselves are cut off from that very conversation. It's like throwing a massive party and telling the guests of honor they're not allowed to talk to anyone. It's a rule born from a fear of the unknown, a struggle for control in a digital age that moves faster than any league office can. This next one isn't just bizarre, it's born from tragedy. It takes us back to the early days of baseball, a rougher, grittier era. The rule is the ban on the spitball, a pitch where the pitcher would doctor the ball with saliva, mud, or any foreign substance to make it move unpredictably. It was a common, legal, and dangerous pitch. And on August 16, 1920, it turned deadly. Cleveland Nighthawks shortstop Ray Chapman stepped up to the plate against Yankees pitcher Carl Mays, a notorious spitballer. In the fading afternoon light, Mays delivered a pitch. Chapman never moved. The ball, darkened with dirt and scuffs, struck him in the head with a crack so loud that Mays, thinking the ball hit the bat, fielded it, and threw to first. Chapman collapsed, and just 12 hours later, he was dead. He remains the only MLB player to be killed by a pitch in a game. The incident shocked the nation and forced baseball to confront the dangers of a doctored ball that was not only hard to hit, but also incredibly hard to see. In response, Major League Baseball made a swift and decisive move. They banned the spitball and all other forms of ball doctoring. The goal was to make the game safer and cleaner, using fresh, white baseballs that batters could actually track. But here's where the rule gets truly bizarre. In a strange twist of logic and perhaps a reluctance to force veteran pitchers into retirement, the league made a massive exception. They grandfathered in a select group of known spitballers. That's right, even after a player was killed, the league officially designated 17 active pitchers who were allowed to keep throwing the spitball for the rest of their careers. It was a compromise that fundamentally undercut the safety reason for the ban. For years after Chapman's death, batters still had to face the very same type of pitch that killed him, as long as it was one of those 17 guys on the mound. The last legal spitball was thrown by Burley Grimes in 1934, a full 14 years after the tragedy that supposedly ended it all. It's a chilling and strange footnote in sports history. Sometimes, a rule isn't created to fix a problem, but to nerf a player who has mastered the game a little well. Case in point, Martin Brodeur, the legendary New Jersey Devils goaltender. Brodeur wasn't just a brilliant shot stopper, he was a revolutionary puck handler. He was essentially a third defenseman on the ice, constantly leaving his crease to intercept passes, clear the puck out of the zone, and even launch offensive attacks. He was so good at it that he completely disrupted the opposing team's forecheck. Teams trying to dump the puck into the Devils' zone found their strategy useless. Before their forwards could even get close, Brodeur would be out of his net, stopping the puck behind the goal line and sending it right back out. It was a massive competitive advantage, and the rest of the league, frankly, got sick of it. They complained that Brodeur's skill was making the game less exciting by neutralizing a key offensive strategy. So, instead of telling players to, get better, the NHL decided to change the rules of the game itself. Enter the 2005 to 2006 season, and a new addition to the ice, the goalie trapezoid. The league painted 2 red lines from the goalposts to the corners of the rink, creating a trapezoidal zone behind the net. Under the new rule, goalies were only allowed to play the puck within that area, or in front of the goal line. If a goalie dared to touch the puck in the forbidden corner zones, their team would be hit with a 2-minute penalty for delay of game. The rule was so specifically designed to target Brodeur's style of play that it's unofficially known as the Brodeur rule. Think about how wild that is. The league literally redrew the playing surface to limit the influence of one of its greatest players. It's like telling Michael Jordan he's not allowed to dunk from the left side of the hoop, or telling Patrick Mahomes he can't throw no-look passes. Brodeur, a future Hall of Famer, had to fundamentally change his game overnight. The rule remains in place today, a permanent geometric scar on the ice that serves as a monument to a goalie who was simply too good for the rule book. When you think of the Olympic Games, you picture incredible feats of athleticism, lightning-fast sprinters, graceful gymnasts, powerful swimmers. You probably don't picture a bunch of guys in a muddy field, grunting and groaning, pulling on a rope. But for 2 decades, that's exactly what you would have seen. Because from 1900 to 1920, one of the official medal sports at the Summer Olympics was tug of war. I'm not even joking. Your favorite PE class activity was once an Olympic discipline. This wasn't just a casual pull in the park. This was serious business. Countries would send their strongest men, often organized into teams from police departments or military regiments, to compete for gold. The rules were simple. 2 teams of 8, a rope, and a line. The first team to pull the other 6 feet over the line, or the team that gained the most ground after 5 minutes, was declared the winner. It was a pure, brutal test of strength and teamwork, and it was wildly popular in its time. The United States, Great Britain, and a combined Sweden and Denmark team all have Olympic gold medals in tug of war. The 1908 Games in London were particularly memorable. The American team, after losing their first match, protested that the British team, composed of Liverpool City police officers, were wearing illegal heavy-soled boots with steel spikes that dug into the ground. The protest was denied, the Americans withdrew in disgust, and the British police went on to win gold. Unopposed in the final. It was peak Olympic drama. So what happened? Why can't we watch Team USA battle Team Germany in a high-stakes rope pull today? Well, after the 1920 Antwerp Games, the International Olympic Committee decided it was time to streamline the games. They wanted to focus on sports with more widespread international appeal and governing bodies. Tug of war, seen as more of a pastime than a real sport, got the axe, along with a few others. It's a bizarre relic of a different Olympic era, a reminder that the definition of what constitutes an elite sport is always changing. Most sports rules are specific. You stepped out of bounds, that's a penalty. You traveled with the ball, that's a turnover. They are designed to cover predictable situations. But what happens when something so bizarre, so outrageously unfair occurs that there's no specific rule for it? In the NFL, the referees have a secret weapon, a sort of get-out-of-jail-free card for chaos. It's called the Palpably Unfair Act, and it's one of the most powerful and subjective rules in all of sports. Rule 12. Section 3. Article 3 of the NFL Rulebook is a catch-all for the unimaginable. It essentially states that if a player or anyone else commits an act that is palpably unfair and it affects the play, the referee can basically do whatever they want to restore equity. They can award yardage, reset the clock, and most dramatically, they can award a team a score, a touchdown, a field goal, you name it. It's the NFL's nuclear option. A rule that gives the ref the power to play God. The classic textbook example, which has thankfully never happened in a real game, involves a coach or a player from the bench illegally running onto the field to tackle a player who is about to score a breakaway touchdown. There's no specific penalty for that. So, under the Palpably Unfair Act, the referee could simply stop the game and award the touchdown anyway. It's a safeguard against the kind of blatant cheating that would otherwise break the game, but its application can be much weirder. In a 1981 game, the Patriots were setting up for a game-winning field goal on a snowy, icy field. A stadium worker who was also a convicted burglar on a work release program drove his snowplow onto the field and cleared a perfect spot for the kicker. The Patriots made the kick and won the game. The opposing coach was furious, screaming for the palpably unfair act. The ref, however, didn't invoke it. The act's power lies in its ambiguity. It's only for acts so beyond the pale that they demand divine intervention from the officials. For decades, if you watched a college basketball game, you might have noticed something odd about the jerseys. You'd see players with number 5 and players with number 10, but you'd never ever see anyone wearing a 6, 7, 8, or 9. Was it a superstition? A weird tradition? Nope. It was a rule, a bizarrely specific regulation from the NCAA that dictated which numbers players were allowed to wear. And, honestly, the reason behind it is almost as strange as the rule itself. The logic goes back to a time before digital scoreboards and instant replays. It was all about the referees and their ability to communicate with the scorekeeper's table. When a ref called a foul, they would signal the player's number to the table using their hands. To signal number 23, for example, a ref would show 2 fingers on one hand and 3 on the other. It's a simple, effective system, But what happens if you introduce numbers like 6, 7, 8, or 9? Think about it. A referee only has 5 fingers on each hand. How do you signal the number 8? Or 67? It would require a more complex set of signals that could easily be misinterpreted in the heat of the moment. So, to keep things simple and avoid any confusion, the NCAA just banned those digits altogether. Only numbers containing digits from 0 to 5 were allowed. This meant a player could be 1, 5, 15, 23, 34, 40, or 55, but never 6, 8, 27, or 99. This rule stood for decades, forcing players who wore numbers like 7 or 9 in high school to pick a new number in college. It was a quirky but accepted part of the college game. But as technology improved and the argument for simplicity became weaker, the push for change grew louder. Finally, ahead of the 2023 to 2024 season, the NCAA relented. For the first time, all digits from 0 to 9 are fair game. The numbering nightmare is over, but for years it was a perfect example of a rule that prioritized an obscure officiating mechanic over player preference. For millions of people around the world, an inhaler is a life-saving medical device. It's a quick, effective way to treat asthma and open up the airways, but in the world of elite sports, that same little plastic device is viewed with suspicion. It's a regulated substance, a potential performance enhancer that requires, honestly, a mountain of paperwork to use legally. For athletes with asthma, the simple act of breathing freely comes with a bureaucratic catch. This is the bizarre world of therapeutic use exemptions, or TUEs. The issue stems from the fact that many asthma medications, specifically beta-2 agonists like albuterol, are on the World Anti-Doping Agency's prohibited list. Why? Because in large doses, these substances can have an anabolic effect, meaning they can help build muscle. They can also act as stimulants, potentially giving an athlete an unfair boost in stamina and power. So, to prevent athletes from misusing them, WADA has put strict controls in place. This means that an Olympic cyclist or a World Cup soccer player who has suffered from asthma their whole life can't just use their inhaler when they feel an attack coming on. First, they have to prove to a panel of doctors that they have a legitimate medical need. They must submit detailed medical records, undergo specific lung function tests, and formally apply for a TUE. Only with that exemption in hand can they use their prescribed medication without facing a potential doping ban. It creates a strange and stressful situation. Athletes are worried about their health but also terrified of falling foul of the rules. A simple mistake in paperwork or a misunderstanding of the dosage limits could lead to a positive drug test, a ruined reputation, and a multi-year suspension. It's a rule that turns a common medical condition into a tightrope walk. While the intention, to keep sports clean, is noble, the reality for athletes with asthma is a constant battle of paperwork and scrutiny, just for the right to breathe. The kickoff in the NFL has been getting, well, pretty stale. For years, it's become one of the most predictable plays in football. A kicker boots the ball through the end zone for a touchback, and everybody just takes a breather as the offense gets the ball on the 25-yard line. It's safe, it's boring, and it's led to a dramatic decline in exciting returns. So, for the 2024 season, the NFL decided to throw out the old rule book and try something completely radical, borrowing an idea from, of all places, the XFL. Welcome to the hybrid kickoff. Get ready because this is going to look very, very different. The kicker will still kick from their own 35-yard line, but the other 10 players on the kicking team will line up all the way down at the opponent's 40-yard line. The receiving team will have most of their blockers set up just 5 yards away, in a setup zone between their own 30 and 35. The key to this whole thing: nobody can move until the ball is either caught by the returner or hits the ground. This new alignment is designed to do two things. First, it drastically reduces the high-speed, full-field collisions that made kickoffs one of the most dangerous plays in the game. With players starting so close together and not moving until the ball is live, those massive, violent impacts are virtually eliminated. It's a huge step forward for player safety. But second, and this is the exciting part, it's designed to force more returns, to incentivize teams to actually bring the ball out. the penalty for not doing so has been increased. If the kick goes into the end zone for a touchback, the offense no longer gets the ball at the 25. They get it at the 30-yard line, and if the kick falls short of the 20-yard line, it's treated like a kick out of bounds and the ball goes to the 40. The league wants action. They want returns. It's one of the biggest rule changes in decades, a bold experiment that will completely transform the look, feel, and strategy of the opening play of every drive. We've talked a lot about the rules that govern the athletes on the field, but what about the performers on the sidelines? For years, NFL cheerleaders have been subject to some of the most bizarre, controlling, and frankly, invasive rules in the entire sports world. These aren't rules about gameplay. These are rules about how they live their lives, both on and off the clock. And many of them were exposed through lawsuits that revealed just how strict these handbooks could be. For example, many teams had incredibly specific appearance requirements that went far beyond just looking fit. Cheerleaders have reported mandatory weekly weigh-ins, where they could be fined or benched for being just a few pounds over a target weight. Handbooks have allegedly dictated everything from hair color and nail polish style to the specific shade of lipstick they were required to purchase, at their own expense, of course. It was a level of micromanagement that you would never see applied to the players. The control often extended deep into their personal lives. Some team rulebooks included guidelines on personal hygiene, table manners, and even how to conduct themselves on social media. There were rules against posting photos of themselves in their uniform, rules against fraternizing with players, a rule that was often placed solely on the women, and even rules about what they could and couldn't like online. They were expected to be perfect brand ambassadors 24/7, often for wages that amounted to less than minimum wage when all the unpaid practice hours and appearances were factored in. While many of these practices have been challenged and changed thanks to brave women speaking out, they reveal a strange and often dark side of the sports world. These rules weren't about athletic competition. They were about controlling the image and bodies of the women on the sidelines. It's a bizarre and uncomfortable chapter in sports history, a reminder that sometimes the most shocking rules aren't the ones that happen between the whistles, but the ones written in the fine print of an employment contract. And that's our list. 10 rules that prove the world of sports is even weirder and more fascinating than we imagined. From forgotten Olympic sports to dress codes that really defy logic, the fine print is often where the best stories are hiding. These regulations aren't just footnotes, they're the DNA of the games we love, shaping everything from player safety to the very look and feel of a competition. They show us how sports evolve, adapt, and sometimes just get plain weird. Each rule tells a story of a player who was just too good, a tragedy that forced change, or a battle between tradition and modernity. It's a reminder that behind every game, there's a complex system of human decisions, compromises, and, sometimes, outright bizarre logic. The next time you're watching a game and see a strange call, maybe you'll think about the obscure rule that just came into play, and the history behind it. What's the weirdest sports rule you've ever heard of? Let us know down in the comments below. We love digging into this stuff, and we know there are plenty more out there.